Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we will be solving Leetcode weekly contest 378 problem first, that is 2980. Check if Bitwise or has trailing zeros. Okay, so pause the video, read the question, then we will proceed. Cool. So the question says we will be given an array of positive integers nums. Okay. Now the question is it possible to select two or more elements in array such that the bitwise OR of the selected elements has at least one trailing zero? What does that mean? So let's say if we have selected two numbers, so let's say 2 and 4. So in its bitwise representation, it will be nothing but 1 0, and 4 will be can be represented as 1 0 0. Okay, now make it 3 bits. So if we'll take XOR of these two numbers, that is XOR of 2 XOR, sorry, not XOR, OR. In the question it is mentioned OR. Okay, so if we will take OR of two numbers, this is a single pipe representing OR operation. So if we will take OR of this, what will happen? This will be nothing but OR operation of these two bitwise representation, right? So if we'll perform OR operation, 0 and 0 will become 0, 0 1 will become 1, 0 1 become 1. Do let me know if you needed any help on learning these basic bitwise operations. Okay, so now we can see that there is one trailing zero. So let's say if there was some binary number having something like this one and this one. So here if we'll take OR, what will happen? We'll have two zeros and remaining ones. So here we have two trailing zeros. Here we have only one trailing zero. So in the question, it was saying that uh, even if there is at least one trailing zero, we are good. Okay. So now the question is we have to select at least two elements. So at least two elements such that we get at least one trailing zero. Okay. So now the question says return true if it is possible or false otherwise. Okay. So now let's see what the question will, what in the question we are given this kind of array, right? So let's take this one for example. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now the question says that we should either pick two elements or greater than two elements, or greater than two elements, or three elements, four elements, five elements, how many elements we want. Now realize one thing, if we are selecting two elements A and B, or let's say if we select three elements A, B, and C, and in their in their OR operation, we have trailing zeros. What does that mean? That means even if we'll take just two, just two of them, then also we'll get trailing zeros. Listen carefully what I'm trying to say. So let's say if I'm saying there is one number 100, 100, and let's make it one here, and 1010, something like this. If we'll take OR of all these three numbers, 000 will become 0, 00, and here is 1, so it will become 1, and again 010, again it will become 1, and 1111. Okay, so see, if we are taking OR of three numbers and it is 0, that means all the numbers must have 0 in their last position, or at whatever position we are looking at. So here it is last position. So we already know that for an OR operation to be 0, or for an OR operation with result 0, all the numbers should be 0. That means if we'll take OR with 0, we will get 0. Else if we'll take 0 and 1, we will have 1, 1 and 0 will again have 1, and 1 and 1 will have 1. So the only possible case for having 0 is all the numbers should have 0 at that position. And as per our question, what we need zeros in the last position. So it can be the last zero, then second last, then third last, but at least there should be one zero in the last. Now question is, if you look carefully, now the question is very much simplified to just one thing. First of all, instead of choosing greater than two elements, we will just choose two elements. Why? Because we know that all the numbers should have 0 at the last place. Okay, all the elements should have 0 at the last place. That means we will have 0 at in any two elements. If we'll pick any two elements, we'll have 0 at their last place. Now That's the first thing. Second thing is, let's say, even if there are trailing zeros, let's say four trailing zeros, but to satisfy our answer, only one trailing zeros is enough. I mean, there can be more zeros, but we don't need to worry about them as long as we have one trailing zero in the last, or just one zero in the last. So how can we check it? How can we check it? So let's say if there is any number a, if there is any number a, and we wanted to test whether there will be zero or one, zero or one, what will be there at the last position or the last bit. So one thing is, what we can do is we can convert this into bitwise binary representation. So let's say it has some binary representation, something like this one. First of all, convert it into this one and then check. Or else what we can do, so if there is number, let's say a, and if we take its AND operation, if we take AND operation, let me just revise you through AND operation. And what does AND operation do? If you have 0 and if you have 0, the result will be 0. If you have 1 and 0, then again result will be 0, or sorry, 0. And if you have 0 and 1, then again result will be 0. Only if you have 1 and 1, then will result will be 1. So let's say if we take AND operation with 1, then what does that mean? What does that mean? So let's say if there were 4 bits in this one a, then for 1 what will happen? This will be 1 and rest all will be zeros. And if we'll take bitwise and, what will happen? This will make 0, because it doesn't matter. See, if we have 1 0, then it doesn't matter other number is whether 1 or 0, we always have 0. Sorry, here it will be 0, my mistake. Okay, so yeah, so here it will be 0, right? Here it will be 0, here it will be 0, and here now it depends. If if we have 1 over here, then it will become 1. Else if we have 0 over here, then it will become 0. So what will happen? If we'll see at the result, we have two possibilities: either this one, or or if we'll consider that here it is 0, we will end up with result 0 0 0. So if we'll see carefully, a and 1, what will happen? Will become 0 when if the last bit of this a is 0. Okay, so if this result is giving 0, that means the last bit of a is 0, else it will give 1. So our problem was, how can we find whether this number a has its last element 0 or 1? So here it is very clear now, right? That if we'll take it and with 1, if it is 0, then last bit was 0. Last bit of a is equal to 0, else last bit of a is equals to 1. When if a and 1 is equals to 1. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now we were given we are given an array, right? 1 2 3 4 5, any elements. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll just count how many numbers are there, that end with 0, or that have 0 bit in their end. Why? Because we know that if there are, let's say, four numbers with 0 at the end, then even if we will just take two numbers, we will get our answer. Why? Because we know that we just need only one trailing zero to fulfill our answer. And instead of taking all fours, even if we will take just two elements, or the worst case, at least there should be two elements having zero in their end to fulfill our overall answer. So our solution reduced to very simple. What is, we'll just iterate over this, keep a count of how many elements are there having 0 at their end, and if in the last we have more than two elements, then we got our answer, else we will return false. Okay, so just let me retrieve the solution. See, first of all, we made a variable count ending with 0, like count numbers ending with 0, and initialize it to 0. Now we picked up elements from the nums one by one, and we checked if n and 1 is 0. What does that mean? That means this n has last bit 0 if this condition is satisfied. Okay, then we'll increase the number of elements having, or like ending with 0 in the last bit. Okay, and if that count is greater than equal to 2, what does that mean? That means we have at least two elements having 0 in their end, and that's what we want, right? we can select two elements, then like in that scenario we can select two elements, right? And they have 0 in their end, so there will be at least one trailing 0, right? So if that case is satisfied, we can simply return true, else return false. So that's what we have written over here. If this value is greater than equal to 2, then this condition will evaluate to true, else it will evaluate to false. Okay, let's try submitting the solution. So you can clearly see this is an accepted solution. Okay, so I hope this would be clear to you, but if you guys have any doubt, do ask me in the comment section. Thank you guys. See you in the next video.